can to protect this beautiful home that we call Martin County. Last year was certainly no exception. We learned about bridge engineering and structure. We learned about what 100 inches of rain looks like and what to do in the event when you have 21 named tropical cyclones in one season. Hence, we all learned a lot about the Greek alphabet. In all seriousness, though, our board and our staff and our community worked really hard last year. And I'm so proud to work alongside my colleagues, and I want to introduce them to you this morning. From District 1, Commissioner Doug Smith. We have District 3, Commissioner Harold Jenkins. We have from District 5, Commissioner Ed Campy. And from District 4, Commissioner Sarah Hurd. Together, we've worked, like I said, really hard this year, and we've worked with local nonprofits, and I look out and I see a lot of you here today. We've worked with our legislative delegates, and of course, our local law enforcement partners, Martin County Sheriff's Department and the City of Stuart Police Department. To our staff and our leadership, could staff please stand if you're a member of Martin County staff, and please be recognized. This is the backbone of what we do every day. I thank you all for the residents of Martin County for all the hard work that you do every day. And I also want to recognize our county attorney, Sarah Woods, Deputy County Administrator Don Donaldson, Assistant County Administrator George Stokas. Your support to us, the board, is truly invaluable. And finally, Taryn, our fearless leader, I'd like to thank you for your leadership, particularly in this year with so many unknown, for your leadership and your guidance. Thank you, Taryn. Please stand. I want to recognize the elected officials that are here today. We have our state representative, John Snyder. Ryan Naddick from Senator Rick Scott's office. We have Stephen Layton, Angel Robertson, and Amy Gallant from Congressman Brian Mast's office. We have Darlene Riper from Senator Gerald Harrell's office. And Shannon Chapman from Representative Toby Overdorf's office. We also have our property appraiser, Jenny Fields. Our tax collector representative, Ruski. Major John Budensee from the Martin County Sheriff's Office. From the City of Stuart, we have Mayor Eula Clark with us. We have Commissioner Troy McDonald. City Manager David Dias. And from Town of Sewell's Point, we have the Mayor, Kaya Mayfield. And we have Vice Mayor James Campo. From Town of Jupiter Island, we have the Town Manager Michael Ventura. And the Deputy Town Manager, Chief Bob Garlow. From Martin County School District, we have Marcia Powers, the chair. Thank you all for being here. And as I look around the room, and all the collective energy and determination is really striking to me. And we may not always agree, but we all are working together every day to move this community forward. And on a personal note, I would be remiss not to recognize a couple of the people that instilled in me the principles that, drive me to serve and work hard and be humble and grateful. My parents, Ed and Connie Whitaker. Typically, I think my dad would be out, but since he found out I rode here on a horse, he was in today. And with that, we're going to have a presentation, and I would like to welcome to the podium our County Administrator, Taryn Krista.
Well, good morning, everyone. So thank you, Commissioner Hetherington. She's your chair of the Board of County Commissioners. That was quite an entrance. Some days, I think I could easily switch out my heels for a pair of boots, but I'm not sure that I should give up trading in my car for a saddle. It's good to be here this morning, and it's great to see you all. You know, each year, I get to stand here and get to highlight projects and accomplishments from the previous year and look toward our future goals. But the last 12 months seem like many years, and while the accomplishments were many, our agency, our community, our residents, and businesses overcame so many of those obstacles to keep moving forward. As I reflect on 2020, strength, resilience, and service come to my mind. I believe the accomplishments that we showcase today and that are reflected here in our annual report are a testament to the strength of this organization and the resilience of your staff and the leadership of your Board of County Commissioners. No matter the situation, we adapted to ever-changing information and conditions and continue to provide exceptional service to our residents, businesses, and our visitors.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. What a beautiful day.
2020 started off simple enough. We raised flags on Veterans Memorial Bridge, added adventure tents to campsites at Phipps Park, and the State of the County was held right here. But we soon realized 2020 was going to be different. In March, Martin County saw its first cases of the novel coronavirus. We immediately began informing the public of what was happening. We held press conferences and ultimately produced daily videos providing up-to-date information and resources. The Board of County Commissioners began holding special meetings to learn and make decisions about COVID-19 in our community. New protocols and ways to protect employees and the public were put into place. The pandemic forced us to change a lot of ways we did things. We moved pretty much every meeting in the county to the Blake Library where we could socially distance. A lot of in-person events were canceled. So we got creative and did virtual events like the groundbreaking for the new Map Road Town Center. Our staff worked hard to secure CARES Act funding that we in turn passed on to qualified businesses, residents, our constitutional officers, municipalities, and nonprofits that were struggling due to the pandemic. We were threatened by two named hurricanes, Isaias and Eta. Our Emergency Operations Center ran at a virtual capacity. The southbound lanes of the Roosevelt Bridge were closed for much of the year when a structural issue was noticed. We also saw unprecedented flooding in the south part of our county that had our crews working extended hours trying to move water off of roads and keep our communities safe. But through it all, we adapted and changed and worked hard to maintain the high level of service our residents expect. So the threats to our community this past year were unparalleled. We faced challenges at every turn, but through it all, our residents, our businesses, our nonprofit agencies, and your county staff work together to lift each other up, to problem solve, to move our community forward. Investing in critical projects is good for both the residents and the environment. Your Board of County Commissioners continue to make significant investments into our quality of life, especially in water quality, by creating stormwater treatment areas, or STAs,
which is just one way that we do that. Before current water quality standards were in place, lack of sufficient storage for surface water runoff contributed to high nutrient levels. They were being deposited into our waterways. The STAs would capture that water, slow it down, and clean it all naturally before it got into our local waterways, which mimic the attributes of a natural wetland. Let's take a look at a recently completed Willoughby Creek STA.
And the weir shows us how flows get attenuated. It's holding back water when you have a heavy rain. There's some storage capacity where the water can be staged up, and it's released at this measured rate.
John Mayle gives a tour of Martin County's newest project to help clean the water going into the St. Lucie estuary.
So what a stormwater treatment area does is several things. One, it provides a detention time for that water. It slows the water down, allows it to rest, and then it attenuates flows out the back end so that you get a slow, steady flow rather than flashy high and low flows.
The Willoughby Creek Stormwater Treatment Area takes rain runoff from 385 acres near the Martin County Fairgrounds on Dixie Highway and the Martin County Golf Course and routes it into a series of holding ponds.
While it's sitting there, you have an opportunity in the deep water sections for suspended solids to settle out, and anything that's attached to those suspended solids settle out and fall out of the water column. And then we also plant aquatic vegetation along the edges and in the middle, in the shallower portions of the stormwater treatment area that uptake those nutrients and polish up the water.
The natural flow of water was disturbed years ago when the area was developed.
The biggest issue was that this whole area was developed prior to our current water quality standards for stormwater.
Studies have shown that the man-made ditches and canals in that area were contributing a significant amount of pollutants to Willoughby Creek.
The Willoughby Creek tributary to the estuary was our fifth worst contributor for nutrients, including nitrogen, phosphorus, copper, suspended solids, and so it was one of our higher priorities.
Scientists say this 15-acre STA should remove nearly 40% of the nitrogen and 65% of the phosphorus that comes from this basin.
So we were able to come back in and build it the way it, to meet today's water quality standards.
With 37 stormwater treatment area projects and other retrofits completed in Martin County in the last 20 years, Mayle says we still have work to do. His department is now updating the Water Quality Needs Assessment Plan that will help drive future investments in water quality.
Wow, what a great accomplishment. And now on to another department that continues to accomplish great things, your Parks and Recreation. The National Recreation and Park Association, or NRPA, explains that just as water, sewer, and public safety are considered essential public services, your parks are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in a community, and they ensure the health of our families and our youth. And they contribute to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and even a region. Martin County Parks and Recreation facilities provide health and environmental benefits, economic value, and they play the part in the social structure of our community. In this next video, Bob Hoganson talks with our Parks and Recreation Director, Kevin Abate, about improvements that were made in our park assets in 2020.
Martin County is known for its amazing beaches and vast park system. Spots like Sailfish Sands Golf Course and Sailfish Splash Water Park are very popular. But Martin County Parks and Recreation Director Kevin Abate says that while those are important county assets, it's the smaller neighborhood parks that make such a difference for communities.
But those are the projects that are for the region. This project is for the folks that live across the street. Though they eat, drink, and sleep this park all the time. And so we really need to make this place as magical as we can.
Abate is talking about Lamar Howard Park in the Golden Gate community. 2020 brought many improvements to the park.
You have this beautiful park, which is already beautiful, as it's always been beautiful, And it's really was, it just deteriorated over many, many years, and we really need to get it up to where it should be.
The park's master plan in 2016 recognized the need for upgrades here and the Cassidy Center. The community center inside the park holds school aftercare programs and other events.
We've had several improvements over the course of the years. For instance, inside the building of the footage that you took, we created a learning lab with workstations for the kids and our after-school programs in the community.
Fiber lines were added to connect the park to the county's IT infrastructure. A fresh coat of paint was added inside and out. The interior was completely remodeled. The parking lot was redesigned and expanded by dozens of spaces.
Over the last couple years, we went ahead and did about $500,000 worth of work here.
Originally at this park was a skate park, and where I'm standing was a tennis court. But Abate says after meeting with the community here several years ago, they determined that those features weren't really being used. So they turned the skate park into a basketball court, and where I'm standing, where the tennis court was turned into a futsal court, a type of soccer on a hard surface that this community loves.
The value asset of this community for is undescribable. I mean, the kids that come here, the parents that come here, they drop their kids off for after school, they feel it's a safe place, they feel it's a great place to learn, and it's a great park.
But these weren't the only improvements around county parks. Timer Powers Park saw renovations to its floating docks, and new fans were installed inside the arena. Doc Myers Park saw renovated bathrooms and resurfaced basketball courts. The concession stands at JV Reed Park were completely remodeled, and Wi-Fi was added to the nearby Hope Sound Community Center. And new changing stations and bathrooms were built near the fountains at Indian Riverside Park. Abate says all of these improvements are aimed at keeping Martin County park facilities 5-star, and something everyone can be proud of.
The dollars that I'm provided by our commission, I look at those as investment dollars into these parks. And so we are going park by park, and our commissioners have invested millions of dollars into our park system beyond those larger projects.
So Parks and Recreation manage more than 1,700 acres of public land, which consists of 75 public parks, beaches, and causeways, a public golf course, a water park and competition pool, campground, community centers, and much more. I think their hashtag, #LoveMCParks, is not only perfect, it's a sentiment that is shared by our staff and our community. So I don't often talk about dollars at this event, but I think it's important to share where the money came from and where it goes. I think it speaks to the fiscal responsibility of our agency. So let's take a high-level view of the budget, both your revenues and expenditures. Approximately 40% of our revenues come from ad valorem taxes or your property taxes, with the remainder coming from revenue streams such as sales tax, gas taxes, and fees for service were some of our largest. And look at our grants. While they're just over 1% of our total revenue, last year they accounted for nearly $5 million for our local projects. And here, you can now see how the money is being utilized. Our largest impact is fully funding budgets that are requested by your constitutional officers, keeping our reserves healthy, and other operational expenses. In the end, we always find a way. The budget is balanced, and it provides a sound financial plan that focuses on public safety, your quality of life, and providing those services our community expects in the most efficient and effective manner possible. And I just don't think that, but I know that to really be the case. Speaking of doing things really well, let's take a look at some projects in Public Works.
What part of the water system is this?
This is Manatee Creek.
Martin County Capital Projects Manager George Zama shows one of his department's biggest accomplishments of 2020.
What we had here before was a old concrete box culvert that was built in the 1950s. It was experiencing a lot of deterioration in the structure.
On Cove Road, just east of Dixie Highway, an old bridge over Manatee Creek was falling apart.
What's pretty neat about it is it's all segmented precast arch pieces that actually went together in a matter of 2 days. So we were able to accelerate the construction by closing the road and getting the whole project done actually within 80 days.
The old deteriorating bridge now has a new life that should last 100 years.
The bridge project was fully funded by the Board of County Commissioners under the Infrastructure Reinvestment Program.
Martin County's engineering department has a pretty simple mission.
Well, our goal is to provide safe, quality, cost-efficient infrastructure to the residents of Martin County.
From rehabbing busy county thoroughfares to rebuilding neighborhood roads and infrastructure, Salma's team was busy in 2020.
We did 3 major resurfacing projects on some of our major roads, such as Cove Road, Savannah Road, and Indian Street.
Much of those projects paid for with state grant funding. Zama says the county is very good at using grant funding to get projects done. The 3.2-mile resurfacing project on Cove Road was funded by grant money at 85%, meaning county residents only paid 15 cents on the dollar to get the project done. Parts of Savannah Road got resurfaced and new bike lanes were added. Portions of Indian Street and Cove Road were also resurfaced, all paid for mostly by grants.
A lot of the motorists were experiencing a lot of dips and depressions in the road, and a lot of folks don't see what's happening underneath the ground. We made those necessary repairs underground before we did our final paving.
And over in the Hobe Sound subdivision of Heritage Ridge, where it has been known to flood, parts of the road were raised over a foot, and new drainage and swales were installed to help manage water in the neighborhood.
So you know, there's so much more to what we do that's just not covered in these videos, but it is highlighted within the pages of our annual report and in our press releases, where we share those with our media partners, and in our stories that we tell on our social media pages, and in our day-to-day work that's carried out by our extremely dedicated staff. So let's talk more about some numbers. Last year, we held 42 board meetings and over 120 other public meetings for various boards and committees. Helping us behind the scenes, the Department of Information Technology Services managed more than 300 miles of fiber. Human Resources conducted internally 8,800 hours of employee training. And General Services, they maintain 1.2 million square feet of your public buildings. Last year, Growth Management staff performed 6,600 zoning reviews and over 2,500 environmental reviews for building permits. And speaking of Growth Management, they worked in conjunction with our Office of Community Development, who partnered with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council to finalize a multi-year, multi-department project that was to amend our countywide community redevelopment plan, as well as each of the 6 community redevelopment area plans, or your CRAs. And then they created a new separate article, Article 12, which is part of our land development regulations, or your LDRs. In utilities, they extended water and sewer to over 110 properties and installed 10 miles of force mains for our septic to sewer conversions. And that facilitates 780 customers. Your Veteran Services staff made over 18,000 client contacts. The building department, they issued close to 18,000 permits, and they performed almost 42,000 construction inspections. In Ocean Rescue, they responded to more than 130 water rescues and had over 1,200 medical responses. Our fire rescue telecommunicators received over 51,000 calls, and they dispatched nearly 30,000 calls. And through your emergency management division, more than 897,000 pieces of personal protective equipment, or PPE, they were received and distributed back into our community. In all that we do, it's about connecting with people. And at a time when we're socially distant, it really highlights the power of our communication. With a service mindset, awareness, and empathy, our communications team worked to keep the public informed. They wrote and sent out 50 community updates and produced nearly 60 videos. On Facebook alone, we connected with over 23,000 unique users last year and reached 56,000 times and commented more than 43,000 times. We received over 1,500 messages and sent out more than 1,000 responses to those messages. In some of those messages, they were family members who live far away, and they were trying to find information and help for their parents. Their parents were alone here. Some were from residents who were isolated in their homes, and they just wanted someone to communicate with. They had Facebook as their connection and lifeline. With this pandemic, local businesses struggled. When the U.S. Department of Treasury released coronavirus aid relief and economic security funds, which were known to us as the CARES Act, we developed programs to distribute that funding to individuals, families, and businesses that were impacted by this pandemic. The CARES Act funding was also available to our constitutional officers and our municipalities for reimbursement of approved COVID-19 expenses. We processed nearly 800 applications for that CARES Act money, helping your small businesses stay open, your local nonprofit agencies keep their missions going, and assisting residents with rent and mortgage payments, and putting food on our families' tables.
Hello, I'm Rob Ranieri with House of Hope, here today to talk to you about the CARES funding from the federal government that came through Martin County and United Way, specifically for food purchasing for people impacted by COVID. So House of Hope, because of this funding, has really been able to rise up and meet the expanded need in our community. We're reaching right now well over 7,000 people with food assistance through our 4 food pantries. And a lot of our capacity to be able to do that with fresh fruits and vegetables, meat, dairy, eggs, all kinds of different canned goods is all coming because of our capacity to tap into that CARES funding through the county. We're also able to get products in for a lot of the small local pantries and soup kitchens and give them the things that they need to be able to meet the rise in clients that they're experiencing as well. So because of this funding, we've really been able to keep people eating well, eating healthy products, and doing all the things they need to keep food on the tables for their families. Without the funding, really we'd be in a situation where we'd have to ration a lot of what people are given, so it wouldn't be the same quality and quantity that we're able to give them now to meet those needs. So it's really changed the ability, especially around health and nutrition, not just to feed people, but to feed them well, which is a key part of the House of Hope mission.
And while our residents and businesses were trying to stay afloat, the world pretty much stopped traveling. So in response, the Office of Tourism and Marketing quickly shifted their communication strategy to create new content that was sensitive to the ever-changing COVID-19 situation, while keeping their followers informed, entertained, and inspired. Their focus became supporting local businesses, highlighting our natural attractions, and sharing uplifting content. They redesigned the Protect Our Paradise website to be the hub for COVID-19 communications that pertain to tourism, and created the Martin Together campaign to support our local businesses and to raise awareness about traveling safety among COVID-19. And when it was time, they too utilized CARES Act funding to develop innovative and creative campaigns and programs that would assist our local businesses and promote our area. And despite a difficult year, their efforts brought home a win for the City of Stuart, who received the 2020 Great Places in Florida Award, and their work also enabled Port Salerno to be recognized as one of the coolest places to visit in 2021. Businesses gained tools, insight, and training, and our residents and visitors were able to be a part of the Martin Together program. So here's a peek at one of the videos that they created from that campaign. And so, this is who we are and what we do. In the pursuit of preserving our quality of life, investing in infrastructure, enhancing your neighborhoods, ensuring public safety, and protecting our paradise, connecting with residents, and governing effectively. The strength and resiliency of our people was evident in every corner of this county. And so, I chose today not to focus on our challenges, but our response. Not our struggles, but the spirit and strength of our community. When we work together, projects move forward. Our policies are stronger, and together we build a community that is strong and resilient. That's Martin together. So with that, in my closing, I would like to thank the County Commission for allowing me the opportunity to successfully lead this organization, for which I am extremely, extremely proud. So now, I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Hetherington for her closing remarks.
Thank you, Taryn. And we wanted to get all of you in and out, and I think that was a lot of great information that you were able to see all of the work that we put into 2020 and beyond. So I want to mention a couple people. One, you got to give a hand to Sage, my horse, right? And I want to thank Marcia Hendry and David Gonzalez and Rockin' H Ranch for their hospitality in making that video. So thank you. And I saw David and Marcia here today. And if you haven't been, it's just around the corner. It's a beautiful place. It's a great event venue. So thank you again for that. And so thank you for all continuing this journey with us. And we have our annual reports on the tables. If you need other copies, there's other information in there on projects and accomplishments and future investing. So please take that on the way out. And thank you again for being here. Go out there, enjoy your day, go make a difference, and God bless.